Hey friends, it's Carol, Saltbox Stitcher. How are you? It is Sunday, March 14th, and it's right about 12:18, even though my body thinks it's 11:18. Spring forward, fall back. So we're officially now in daylight savings time. So it'll be darker in the morning and lighter longer in the evening. So anyway. How are you? This is a video about cross stitch, and hope March is treating you well. I don't know if it came in like a lion or a lamb, but it's supposed to leave the opposite, so we'll see. Seems to me like we've had a lot of stormy weather, but either way, Jacksonville, we're having some beautiful weather. I think today it's going to be high 70s, low 80s, and as long as it's not humid, I'm a happy camper, and it's beautiful sunny skies, so that's why it's called the Sunshine State. So anyway, hope you're all doing good, happy, healthy, at home, stitching. I have some things to show you. Not, this is my MO. Not a whole lot, but I do have quite a few quilts I'm going to show. I'm going to take a break. I'm not going to do two videos, but I'm going to take a break between the cross stitch and the quilting, so my husband then can insert some pictures of quilts from what I lovingly call the toy room. I watched my grandchildren for till they went to preschool, so the first 2 years, and then they went to 2-year-old preschool. So we had to have a toy room, otherwise the toys were accumulating. It's a bedroom in our house that used to be my daughter's bedroom. We painted it yellow, and everything there is geared toward the kids, except my treadmill's in there. And a lot of people have said, oh, take pictures, take pictures. My treadmill's in there. There's a bunch of Christmas stuff still in there, so it's not Photoshop worthy. Maybe Photoshop, but not worthy of pictures. But I will show you some of the quilts from in there, and you get a little idea what the room is like. I didn't have a lot of questions, but I did have a few questions. Somebody had watched a former video and had asked a question about a piece that I had here on the Hoosier. And it was hard for me to see because my head was in the way of the video, but it was one of these two pieces that was hanging out there. These are by Lottie Da. I did them a long time ago. This one I know is called Gentle Words. I remember that. And they both have quilt blocks. This is an Irish chain. This one I think is called Mighty Deeds. All that you do with your might. Things done in halves are never done right. And then it also has the quilt and the baskets. I think I did these on 36 count, but like I said, they are by Lottie Da. I didn't get out the patterns, but I know this one's called Gentle Words, and I think this one's called Mighty Deeds, or something like that. Anyway, so I have those two things framed, and one of them, there was a question about one of them, so I thought I would answer that first. Somebody asked me if when I use variegated floss, if I stitch in the English or the Danish, I think it was, method. I don't know which is which, but I do cross every X when I'm using variegated cotton floss. However, after I answered that question, I got to thinking, sometimes if I'm doing a border and I'm stitching along, and then there's 3 stitches up that are a leaf or part of a leaf, I will do half stitches up and then cross them on the way back down. I never do that if it's a lot of stitches, but if it's just a few and I want to get back to where I was going down on the border, then I will do half and then come back and do half. So occasionally I do that. But for the most part, especially like in a big like grass area or something that's a lot of fill in, I do cross each X as I go. These are two oldies but goldies. This one has a little mark on the frame. I probably need to put some shoe polish or something on that. Do they still make shoe polish? Do people still shine their shoes? I don't know. But these, I have no idea. I'm thinking these might be cross-eyed cricket. I really don't know. But I have Mr. and Mrs. Bunny. They may have been in a magazine, too. I did these eons ago. Late 80s, I would say. I had them in my daughter's room, which was pink and blue and green at the time. And that's a lot of backstitch. I'm not a big fan of backstitch, although I'll do it, but I just don't remember the name of them. If somebody knows, they can comment on that. I hope you all had a chance to watch Sambry Stitches, Becca. She does interviews with various floss tube people, floss tubers. And when I think of tubers, isn't that what they call like sweet potatoes and potatoes? Aren't they all tubers as far as how they grow? Anyway, we're floss tubers. Anyway, one of the things I showed, and I've never shown it on my own video, was this little piece, which was the very first. It was in the early 80s. I had a home party called by a company called Creative Circle, and they brought all kinds of cross-stitch kits. They were all kits. Cross-stitch kits, crewel embroidery kits. I think there might have been some knitting. I'm not sure. I even think they had some latch hook rug kits. And for a little demonstration, icebreaker, or whatever you want to call it, she showed us how to do these cross stitches on 7 count, and I think it's Claustron, which is a real, it's a form of Ada, like Ada. Somebody said I should frame it, and I probably should, so I don't lose it. So I wanted to show you that. So if you haven't watched Becca's interview with me, you might learn something about me. I was really nervous, which is really crazy because I'm not nervous for my own videos. Maybe I should be. Maybe if I was more nervous, I'd make less mistakes. There was something recently I said, and hopefully I'll correct it when I get to that portion of my happy mail that I did. A mistake on one of my other videos. Sometimes I'll watch them again and I'll be like, oh, why'd you say that? That's not even right. So what did I stitch on? Oh, and I always have people ask about different things that I have back here on the Hoosier. These bunnies are huge. They're about 3 foot tall. There's a girl and there's a boy. They were by a company called Attic Babies. I have another one. Let me see if I can grab this one. She's another bunny. And they were called Attic Babies. They were very, look like they've been in the attic. They were very primitive, tea-dyed. This particular one has a mama, a daddy, and a baby bunny. And a carrot. And a cute little face. Floppy ears. But yeah, they were called Attic Babies. And I used to buy a lot of them because I really liked them. I used to have a cabinet in here and I had all these dolls like that, primitive dolls. And I had a friend that once said, oh, you're going to be one of those little old ladies, talks taller dolls. Yeah, probably. So anyway. Okay, what have I been stitching? I'm going to show you what I've stitched, and then I'm going to show you a collection of things that I have kitted that I guess I could title, Why Haven't I Stitched These Yet? And I know why. There's not enough time. So I did this eye-opening thing. When did I do this? Maybe last weekend. I decided I wanted to write down all of my whips. I think a lot of people are doing this, and I like to do it at the beginning of a year because, and I know it's March already, but it kind of gives you an idea what you're facing of reality, what you're facing. So I started writing down all my whips. Page 1, page 2, page 3. So now some of them I included are not really whips. I haven't technically even started them. For example, in one of my project bags, I had his eyes on the sparrow, and I have started that. Well, with that, I also had Consider the Lilies, which I have not started, but I've kitted. So I counted both of those, so that technically is not 2 whips, it's just 1. The other thing, I had a couple things that I started and I'm going to restart. For example, Shakespeare's Peddler, Jenny Bean's Parlor. I started that, and I've decided I'm going to restart it because I stitched X's and they were supposed to be Smyrna crosses on the first alphabet. So things like that, technically they're not a whip. Including those, I came up with 51. One of them was Miss Manners, which I showed you last time I finished that. So I crossed that off. So now we're down to 50. Then if you take away the couple that I added that really aren't whips, I'm probably at about 47 or 48. Definitely more than I want, because I usually finish about 30 projects, but some of those are really small. And last year I think I did 10 samplers. The year before I did 12 samplers. And of course that depends on how big they are. But either way, most of these 47 or whatever are pretty big. There's a few small ones, but most of them are pretty big. So I'm in an effort to really work on my whips. So I'll kind of go backwards with what I worked on. Last night, I don't usually do dark October or dark 13 stitching, not October. This is March, Carol. Welcome to 2021. Anyway, dark 13 stitching is what it's called. And I've showed you this before. I did not finish this last year. This is School Tide Welcome by Plum Street. But I have it, I thought I was like almost done. So I pulled it out yesterday because yesterday was March 13th. And I thought, oh, well, I need to work on this. Oh, no, I have quite a bit left. So I filled in, I did those little pumpkins up there. I'm in the process of filling in the big pumpkin. You can see my needle. I also had a lot, here's a thread showing through. I also had a lot of just the little bit of white that's in those stars. So that was a lot of stopping and starting. I had to do the 2 birds, so I did those last night. And then I had some stars to do around the tree. And again, I had to put, whoops, I'm moving around. You know, is it a problem if I move you around? I had to fill in, there's a little bit of white in those stars. So what's left is the over one that says, this work wrought by me, and my name. I may not do that. I may just put my name, hold it still, Carol, my name and the year. So there again, do you do 2021? Do you do 2020? What I don't know. We'll see when I get to that. And then I have all these leaves on this tree and a little bit of white that goes around the horse. And then I will be done. But that's a lot more than I thought. I thought I just had to do the leaves on the tree. Wrong. And I'm using NPIs for those. And here they are. They're the called for NPIs. They're all browns. There's a little tiny bit of orange, but mostly they're tans, browns, a little bit of greens. So I definitely am going to work on that till it's finished, because that's ridiculous. And sometimes it's hard for me to stitch out of season. But for some reason I got started on that. I sewed all day yesterday. but I was supposed to have plans and those fell through, which is why I didn't video to begin with. And then I got started sewing on a quilt, which I finished piecing, but I'm not going to show you that because it's patriotic. I'll show you that once I get it quilted. Where am I going with this? So I started out sewing. So I didn't pick up cross stitch till last night, and I thought, what am I going to stitch on? And I thought, no, I'm going to stitch on my Yuletide Welcome. It's the 13th of March, so that's what I'm going to do. So what else did I stitch on during these last 2 weeks? Well, I made an Instagram post because right after my video, which was on Saturday 2 weeks ago, I watched Daisy K's Primitives, Christy. And she showed her progress on this wonderful blackbird design called Little Birds. I've had this kitted for quite a while. I got it at a retreat. Where did I get it? At the attic. No, I didn't get it at the retreat. This is the retreat that I wasn't able to go to because Lindsay was in the hospital, but I had already paid, and so Jean sent me all of the goodies. So, Little Birds. And this, so I stitched on it one day because I was like, okay, I got to at least get a start on that. So, that's what I did. I just got a little start on it. This is stitched on 40 count. I want to say, yeah, Heartland. It was cut to size, so it's not for the faint of heart. It'll be a pretty big piece when it's done. But that's something I just want to, it's spring. It's a fun piece to work on. Christy from Daisy K Primitives totally enabled me. So yes, I want to stitch on that. And these are the colors for Little Birds. Some reds, blues, pretty greens, very blackbird-ish. Which, by the way, I signed up for the Traditional Stitches Blackbird piece. It's for their 20th anniversary. I think they're still taking orders. I don't know where they are. I was 2 people past the first group. So in other words, I'm in the second group of people. I think the first group is supposed to get theirs in like March, April, and the second group in like late April or May or something. 2 people. Because they had like the numbers, like 1 through 60 is in the first group, and I was like 62. Never fails. So I worked on that. And then I told you last time you should hang me up by my fingernails if I didn't start this one. Lucy Calcott. Now, for the birds and this one are the only 2 that weren't whips. So these were new starts, which I did not add to my whips, but I should increase that number. Lucy Calcott. And I started this. This is fairly big. And this is on 40 count light exemplar by Lakeside Linens. So I've gone almost around on the border, the outline of the red border, and then I started on some of the inside just to see what it's like. I don't usually do that, but I kind of got tired of stitching this simple little in, out, 2 in, 2 out, 2 in, 2 out. So it was interesting because I was looking at the size of my linen and I thought, yeah, I'm going to have enough. I did all the calculation. Well, when you're counting a big long space like this, I check, I double check, I triple check, quadruple check, whatever. So then I looked at the pattern and it said on 40 count, my length should be 19.65. So that's about 19 5/8. Mine was less than 19. I was like, okay, I've counted and counted and counted. I know I have the right amount of stitches. So I did the math. Because the length is supposed to be 393. You divide that by 20 and you come up, which would be 40 count. Which, by the way, somebody wanted me to explain that. Okay, let me see if I can do it succinctly. If you have whatever count of linen you have, that's the number of threads per inch. So if you have 40 count linen, you're going to have 40 threads, 40 threads if you counted your threads per inch. So if you're making a stitch on every 2, regardless how many strands, you know, we say 1 over 2, 2 over 2, 1 over 1. The first number in that is the number of strands of your floss. So if you're stitching 2 over 2, that means you're pulling 2 strands, putting them together in your needle and stitching 2 strands over 2 threads of the linen. So let's, for example, say we're talking about 40 count. There's 40 threads per inch. If you're going over 2 to make an X, every 2, you're going to have 20 stitches per inch. Okay? If you were going over 1 thread of your linen with 1 strand, that would be 1 over 1, and you would have 40 stitches in an inch because you're going to have a stitch on each thread. Hope that's clear as mud. So I don't know why I say that. My mom used to say that. So in other words, I'm stitching on 40 count linen, and I should be able to take that number 20, which means I'm stitching over two strands for every stitch, and divide 20 into the number of stitches for the entire piece. So the entire piece is 393. Let's say for easy math, it was 420. Okay. So let's say it was 420 stitches for the length. If I'm stitching over 2, we just talked about this. Stay with me. That means you're going to have 20 stitches per inch. So if you're doing 420 and you've got 20 stitches per inch, 420 divided by 20 is 21. So it should be 21 inches long. Well, if you do that same math for 393, it should be 19 5/8. Well, what does that tell you? Either I've counted wrong, and by the time you've used counting pins and you've counted it 5 times, that wasn't my issue. Or there's more threads per inch than 40. And that's what it was. There were 44 threads going down. So in other words, here's my selvage. So technically that would be the width of the fabric, even though on my piece it's the length of the design. So then I decided to count it going across, and I had 42. So this piece of 40 count linen is actually 42 one way and 44 the other way. Nicole of Nicole's Needlework, she recently talked about this on a piece of 56. So I think once you get into the higher counts, I think it probably has a little bit of plus or minus variance from what it's supposed to be. Now, obviously, it's not 46 count linen, which would be the next count up. In other words, you can buy 40 and you can buy 46. You can't buy 42 or 44 from Lakeside. Some companies have 35, some companies have 36, some have 42, some have 45. It just depends on that company and what base fabric they use and how much it shrinks when they over dye it and all that kind of good stuff. But anyway, so my piece is not going to measure 19 5/8. It's going to measure 19 because there's more threads per inch. I kind of thought that might be the case because as I was stitching it, I thought, this seems like it's a little bit smaller or tighter than a normal 40 count linen. And it was. So anyway, somebody had asked me to explain that. So the first number, when you hear 1 over 1, 1 over 2, 2 over 2, the first number is the number of strands you're using, because DMC is 6-stranded. Some silks are 12-stranded. Some silks are 8-stranded. It just depends. But DMC is 6-stranded. Most of your cottons, like Gentle Art, Classic Colorworks, Weeks, all of those are 6-stranded. So the first number is how many strands. So 2 over 2 would be, you'd pull out 1 strand, you'd pull out a 2nd strand, and you'd put those 2 together in your needle, and you would stitch over 2 threads for your X. And then 1 over 1 is where you're stitching with 1 strand over 1 thread. So I hope that helps somebody. I actually had 2 people that asked how you calculate all that. Once you know that, and especially if you can do math in your head, simple math. I used to laugh when my son, he's a mechanical engineer. When he was in college, he'd show us these math problems, and it's like, okay, where are the numbers? Everything's letters. I was telling my grandson, I said, when Uncle Josh used to take some math in college, it was all letters, no numbers, a few numbers. He was like, I don't think you're telling me the truth, Grammy. Said, yeah, I am. Anyway, that was Lucy Calcott. And for that, I am using, it calls for either DMC or Verissois silks. And I decided to use the Verissois, and it's going to be a bright little girl. Nancy, and I apologize, Nancy, I didn't get your name last time, from Inspired Needle, is working on this, and it's gorgeous. But see the little lavender, little coral on that flower bud. Cute, 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 but brighter than I'm normally used to. But pretty. The reds, the pinks, really pretty. And I've always been one, like if I'm doing quilts or cross stitch, somehow when spring comes and the season kind of gets warmer, I'm more apt to sew or stitch on something that has lighter colors. I don't know. I mean, obviously at Christmas we all stitch on red and green, so you kind of get the idea that spring, and likewise summer, I usually stitch patriotic colors. So that was a long dissertation. I hope you all followed me. So another thing I worked on, and I literally worked on this when I was stitching with friends, which means you're mostly talking. I started this a while ago. This is Brenda Gervais, Needle and Thread. I talked about the cute girl with her rosy cheeks and her hippage. Nice hippage. So I have the piece, and what I did was every 10 stitches, I left open, so when I go back and I'm doing fill-in, then I'd do that for counting. But there's a few places too where the letters are going to come down. So I got that, and last night I had a panic attack because I couldn't find the thread for this, the floss, and of course it was right where I left it. Funny how that happens. Some Valdani, some just kind of neutrals. So I literally stitched that little fill-in part. Took me a whole afternoon to do that. I guess I was being very chatty. Let me see where I'm putting all this stuff. My necklace, I'm going to take it off because it keeps banging on my table and it's driving me nuts, so I'm sure it's bothering you also. Then I worked a little bit on this piece. I worked on this, I don't know how much, a couple nights. Again, trying to get back to my whips. This is Carriage House, A Mind Independent and Free. This is a big piece, and I'm doing it on 40 count. There again, I didn't measure anything. I don't normally do that, but I did on Lucy Calcott. But this one will be 4 7/8 by 27 3/8, so 27.5 by almost 5. And I worked on the kind of Bargello looking. I was actually off. How can you get off? That's what I did. So I had to take some out, and then I'm back now, doing okay. This first, no, not the first. This first one is, in other words, it doesn't get filled in. It's just this up and down, zigzaggedy thing. And I did a couple letters. I had the letters here. I had that done, and I had barely started this. So I have filled in this, and then I did the B, C, D, E. They're not Smyrnas, they're just cross stitches. I mean, they're not eyelets. So that's as wide as it's going to be. So that's the 5 inches. So it'll be long, tall, and skinny. And I'm using a piece of 40 count vintage exemplar by Lakeside. And that's pretty true color. It has those kind of pinkish, not really pinkish, but Lakeside sometimes has kind of a pinkish overtones to some of the colors. And there's only 5 colors of that, this, and I'm using NPIs. I wasn't 100% sure about those, that pumpkin color. And then this is only a little bit of this. One of the things I really like about this chart is I love the alphabet going sideways down the sides. I think that is so cool. It's kind of always kind of tricky to do that because you're like, you have to kind of turn your brain a little bit when you're doing it. But okay, so then I had one other thing I worked on, and this was predominantly what I worked on the most. I'm working on the over 1, so I have it in a little bit of a hoop. And basically, this is finished, with the exception of the over 1. However, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me take this out of the package. So this isn't a great picture to begin with. This is Charlotte Clayton sampler, and this is reproduced from a museum. The Commanding Officers Quarters Heritage Museum at Fort Worden State Park in the state, Jefferson County, the state of Washington. So this is Charlotte Clayton. Everything is finished except the over 1. This is an older piece of Meadow Rue that I had, and it really is pretty dark for Meadow Rue. It just is, it's an older piece, so an older dye lot. It's 36 count. So, am I showing you the right? Nope, I'm showing the wrong side. I was seeing the right side. Does that count? Here it is. Cats are done. The birds are done. Bunny, Adam and Eve. Funky little Adam and Eve. One of the things I thought was interesting, it called for Krynic. I don't know what it called for. I think it was just a number. But it was a gold. So I thought, okay, where are they going to put Krynic gold? It's in that, see the lion? See its little crown? I think it's supposed to symbolize God, the Lion of Judah, I think, with the crown. Although you'd think it'd be bigger, but see? And then this cat. Now, I say everything is finished but the over 1. There are whiskers that you have to, you know, whiskers. Although I'm getting to that age, you know, where you're like, is there any whiskers? Oh. Anyway, around the cat's face, you can see on the nose and right here, there's some more of that gold. Interesting. So I think I did a total of like 12 stitches with a whole spool of Krynic. So I do use a small hoop when I do over 1. I can do it in hand, but it doesn't come out as nice. It doesn't lay as nice. So that is what I've stitched on in the last 2 weeks. But I'm happy, happy, happy to have Charlotte Clayton close to being finished. It will take me probably, well, if I work on it like during a day, it'll take me a whole day to do it, at least. Maybe 2 days to do the over one. Because for me, over one is very slow. Very, very slow. So, 35 minutes. That's what I've been stitching on. I'm going to show you some kitted stuff. But first I'm going to show you, I didn't have very much haul, but I did have a little bit of haul. First of all, I want to thank, I don't know, do we call them viewers? I just want to call them friends. Viewers sounds like it's a, I don't know, some sort of formal TV show. All the viewers out there. I'm going to call them friends. I had a friend who watches send me an email with a substantial gift card to 123 Stitch. So you know who you are, and I just want to say thank you again, because that was way more generous than I had even dreamed someone would be giving me. The other thing that I got, another gift, this is from Anna. Let's see, C-A-L-A-D-O-L. Caladol. And she's in Canada. And she has an Etsy shop called Stitch Toolbox. And she sent me these wonderful labels. I think she felt sorry for me when I was telling about my husband. Afraid I'm going to leave him and not have all the samplers labeled. So I just love them. They're so, so cute. And I haven't even opened them because I wanted to show them first. But that's her card. Stitch Toolbox. She's a Calad. Okay, let me read it here. C-A-L-A-D-O. I think it's L-L. O-F-F maybe. 66 on Instagram. I think if you put in Anna, C-A-L-A, it'll come up. But her business is, I'll show it one more time, Stitchy Toolbox. And she sent me these, and they're pretty substantial. You know, they're as heavy as playing cards. And they're not all different, but there's like 3 different prints. How cute is that? And some of them go this way, and some of them go this way. So thank you, Anna. I know she's in Canada, and that was just such stitchy kindness. I really appreciate it. And along with that, she sent me some thread drops. How cute are those? Very cute. So thank you. When people send me, it's kind of awkward for me because I'm just on here rambling about my stitching. And I know there's a joy in giving, and I understand that. And I think receiving is actually harder than giving for me, because there's a sense of which you don't really feel like you deserve that. I mean, it'd be different if I, gave somebody a kidney and then they wanted to, buy me some fabric or something. That'd be different. But what I would do, it really, it's helping me out. And it's helping my husband, because he doesn't have to listen to me rambling about my cross stitch. Because if I didn't talk to you all, I'd probably be talking to him. I'd certainly be talking to my friends. They'd be like, okay, maybe she's not coming today. Then I got my order. I'm in a Belsois Club of the Month. And I made a mistake last time I talked. I had blues last time, and I said it was from Annie B's, and I was wrong. It's from Crazy Annie's. And she has all different kinds of clubs, and this is the one I'm in. I get 3 Belsois colors a month. So I'm pretty excited about that. Always good to collect. And then I ordered a couple pieces. A friend of mine was stitching on some light hazelnut by XJU Designs. I ordered a piece of 40 and a piece of 46. It's the same color, but you can tell the different dye lot, or the different thread counts take the dye differently. But I love both of these. They're kind of like this is a little bit lighter than a light exemplar. This is similar to a light exemplar. This is a little more creamy. XJU Designs Light Hazelnut. 40 and a 46. Love them. And I got fat quarters of those. I saw she has XJU. She has an Etsy shop, and I saw that she is doing a 6-month program of fabric, but you pay up front. That's the only. Anyway, we'll see. A lot of places. I know Scattered Seed, their clubs, you pay up front for the whole thing. But speaking of clubs, I also got my Dying to Stitch Berry Club. I've been in this for 2 years, and how many have I made? None. Did you hear me? None. This one is called FRAMBOISE, which I'm assuming means something like raspberry, because that's the name of it, raspberries. Isn't that cute? That would count as a red sampler, I think. That's really cute. I might start with this one. So that is what I got in the mail. I've actually ordered a few things from whatever the expo. I've ordered a few things. I haven't ordered a whole lot. I've kind of been proud of myself. I have so much stuff. Sometimes it kind of gets to you. You're like, okay. I either got to stitch really, really faster or something, because time is of the essence here. But all that being said, I'm going to show you some things that I have kitted. A lot of these I got from Country Sampler. I don't think I'm going to take them out of the bags unless it's really bad, because it would take forever. So if you are interested in these, call Country Sampler. I don't know if they still have the kitted ones. I'm sure they still have the patterns. One of the interesting things about Country Sampler is that they will frequently change the linen, change the colors. They have their own conversions sometimes. And then they do this distressing thing after it's stitched and age it. So this may not look at all like what is in the shop. Now this one's still pretty light, but this is almost white linen, and this is a darker linen. Mary Havens by Erica Michaels does have some queen stitches. One of the bands is queen stitches. I can't remember, because when I first saw it, I thought, oh, it's got queen stitches, which I'm just not prolific at them. It's not that I can't do them. I think the more I practice them, I might end up just really, really liking them. But so that's one of the kits I have. Here's another one. This is Suzanna Pratt by Pineberry Lane. That has quite a bit of over 6 lines. And again, the colors are way darker than the picture. I wish you could see. I don't think online, unless you look through some of the pictures of the store, I don't think online would you be able to necessarily tell their version. Because I think online, when they put it for kit or for sale as a pattern. They just show the picture of the front of the pattern. So you'd have to look through some of Jeannie's pictures from the store to really get an idea. This was not a kit from them, but this is something I came across. Oh, did I say the name of the last one? Yeah, Suzanna Pratt by Pineberry. This is Elizabeth Clark, and this is actually from Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread. I kitted it, and it somehow this bag is distressing me. It has a lot of kind of pumpkin-y orange colors. I really think I'd like to go a little more red on that. I'm sure this is like the antique, but I love that. It's just beautiful. But I could see going a little more red on the house and maybe like a used brick or something like that on those flowers. I think I'd be fine with the greens. Anyway, I have that kitted. This is another one. This isn't completely kitted, but this is another one. This is by Plum Street. This is called the 1837 Crown Sampler. These are all the Why Haven't I Stitched These? What is it? Is it Reese says? She says something really cute. Gee whiz or something. Why haven't I stitched this? Anyway, the 1837 Crown Sampler. I want to say Nicole has stitched this, but I'm not 100% sure. By Plum Street Antiques. Love that. There's the colors. Again, kind of pumpkin-y, but at least there's a little more, some reddish colors. This is another one that was a kit from Country Sampler. Let me just put this around here. Crinkle, 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 crinkle. This is Elizabeth Sarah Oliver. It's not a house, it's a verse in the middle. Almost looks like a house, but it's a verse. And this is their conversion. Beautiful. And the linen is, I think it's like flat, summer khaki by Zweigart. And that's a 36 count. So that was a kit that I got from Country Sampler. Here's another one I came across. I don't have this kitted, but it was in my Brenda Gervais. And this is Sandals. I love this piece. And it's not huge. It's on 30 count. It's 16 by 19. So if you did it on 40 count, I don't see the count. Oh, here it is. 159 by 205. So that would be like 8 by 10 on 40 count. And this one doesn't have any over 1. So, you know, hello. Here's a picture of the antique. And Sandals by Brenda Gervais. This is definitely one you'd have to get from her site. Which, by the way, Nikki, the pieces I ordered for you have come in, and I just need to get to the post office next week and get them mailed to you. I have a few more. Golly, I'm going to be an hour and not even into the quilting. I may have to do part 1 and part 2 again. Here's another one. This was part of the Schoolgirl series from Country Sampler. Red and Green Carnation Sampler by Samplers Remembered. How beautiful is that? Love the little Merry Christmas. Pin roll, drum roll, whatever you drum roll. Pin drum. Can you have a drum roll, please? Another kit from Country Sampler. Some people weren't as fond of this one because of all the over 1, but this is a beautiful sampler. Somebody has started it. I want to say maybe Lisa, Kindred Stitcher. If you haven't watched her latest video, you should, because it's really, she's got her sampler wall. Looks really nice, Lisa. This is Birdsong. This is another kit I got from Country Sampler. You know, I've been there 3 times, and every time I've Bought kits. Birdsong. I don't think this is very big either. On 40 count, it's 7 by 10. So, and I love it on that dark, dark linen. How wonderful is that? This was not from Country Sampler. This was something I kitted up myself. This is Sampler's Not Forgotten, BG 1864. I love this. I love this. What in the world? Why have I not started this? Reese? Oh, I just think this is gorgeous. And there's actually some places on here, I've read the instructions, where you pull a linen thread out, maybe two, but for sure you pull one thread out, and then you take your floss and you weave it back in like the thread. And I think it's some of these places right here, these blue stitching. How cool is that? I need to do that. I have that kitted with some buttercream, and this is all kitted with silks. So get with the program, Carol. What are you waiting on? This is Lucy Snooshall. Another one from Country Sampler. No, this wasn't from Country Sampler. I think I kitted this myself. Yeah. I've got it kitted with 40 count vintage exemplar and the cottons. This is Rachel Long. This is one, I've seen a few people stitching this. I first got it at summer school in 2019. It's by Needle Made Designs. I have it kitted. This is a piece of Old Weeks. I don't know what color this is. And it's again kitted with silks. This looks like cocoa. I think this is Cocoa by Weeks. Should I keep going? Are you remembering all this time in your brain that she has 50 whips? If I get Charlotte Clayton done, I'll be done to 49. But then I started Lucy Calcott and For the Birds, so. Oh, but when I finish Ghoultide Welcome, then I'll be even Steven with 50. Anne Wright, love this. This one I actually had tried to kit with some of the ones it's called for, and there's some really, some of the threads are ones that I was not familiar with. No, I am. It was Krynic Silk Moray. And then Country Sampler did a conversion. So, of course. To me, this has a little bit of a Christmas feel. Anne Wright, 1726 by Samplers Not Forgotten. Gorgeous. See, speaking of Samplers Not Forgotten, I have these two little kits that I got from Country Sampler. This is not an advertisement for Country Sampler, although it seems like it. This is Bouquet 1813 kit, and you can see it's on this really dark linen, so it's not going to look at all like this. And there again, this is Garden Urn Pin Keep, also by Samplers Not Forgotten, and this one's actually a little bit lighter linen than the picture. This one actually comes from the English Garden sampler by the same Samplers Not Forgotten. It's Lisa Kindred Stitcher showed hers finished on her sampler wall. Absolutely to die for. Gorgeous. Here's another one. This was part of the ABC Schoolgirls series. I personally am not a fan of this finishing because I'm the farthest thing from formal, and to me that looks very formal. It'd be beautiful like on a bed, you know, a guest bed or something, but it's not me. But I really would like to stitch it and just frame it. The long frame with the, you know, it's an alphabet and a town. Kind of looks like Mitford. So that one was a possibility. There's another kit I got from Country Sampler, the BAS sampler. Kitted. Sorry I showed you a little part of this chart, but maybe you didn't see it. Here's another one. The ABC Schoolgirl series. Obviously I haven't done very many of these. My sampler's not forgotten. But of course you have to be in the clubs. And the last one is one that I've wanted to do for a long time. This is Elizabeth Easton. I don't think this is in print. And I have this kitted with DMC. And this is by the good Housewife. I don't think it's Housewife. I think it's Housewife because I think it's a German word. Okay. If you're only here for the cross stitch, you're at the end of the line. You can get off the train. If you want to continue and see quilts, then stay with me. I'll be right back. Love ya. Bye. Okay, so hopefully my husband has inserted some of the pictures from the toy room, and you can see some of the quilts that I have made for the toy room. the one that looks like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. They're not octagons, are they? No, there's 6. What's 6? Anyway, that pattern is called merry-go-round. And with the exception of 1 or 2 of those quilts that were Aunt Grace fabrics by Marcus Brothers, designed by Judy Rothmoth, which are the 30s reproductions, most of those are Moda fabrics by Sandy Klopp, and she designs under the name American Jane. So I just wanted to show you those. And in the toy room, I have a limited edition print that a friend gave me. She was elementary school teacher, Patsy. And I love it. It's a limited edition print. 1946 from the book Look and See. I learned to read with Dick and Jane, Spot and Puff, and loved it. Tim, I think she had a brother, Tim. As you get into more of the books, there's stories. And I did, in one of the pictures, there was a picture of a couple of the Dick and Jane books that I have bought that are new for my grandkids. The toy room is, I think I said on my cross-stitch video, but if you didn't watch that one, the toy room is our 4th bedroom, one of the 4 bedrooms in our house, and it was my daughter's bedroom. And when my grandkids were born, my grandson first, I watched him till he was 2, just during the school year, because my daughter's a teacher. And so, we started to accumulate toys in the living room and all this, and I said, okay, we need to paint that room yellow, put the bunk beds that were originally my son's, and they were in a different room. Put the bunk beds in there and make it a toy room. So there's a few other things in there, so I'm not in a position to show you the room. My treadmill's in there. I have Christmas decorations still stacked up in there. We don't have basements, if you remember. So everything has to either fit in a closet or somewhere in the house. Hidden. So anyway, it's not really a show place, but I do have some cute things in there, and I have those quilts on the beds. And there's a ladder for the bunk beds, obviously, to walk up, and I have quilts on the rungs of the ladder. So that's kind of fun. I have some other quilts that are by that same gal, and I have one kitted. Oh, here's that pattern, merry-go-round by American Jane. Her fabric is designed by Moda. I don't know if she still has, I think she still designs for Moda. I don't know if you can still get some of her original. Some of her fabric is just not the same as a lot of the kind of kindergarten, grade school kind of prints. Here's another pattern I have by her. Oh, My Stars. And I actually bought a kit for this years ago. Now this is as bright fabric as I'll ever have, because I don't do brights. I do dark and dirty. Sorry, there's a lot of crinkling on here, but I did want to show you what this kit is like. This, oh, My Stars. There's also background fabric. But you can see not everything she designs is, they're very primary colors, but not everything is, little kid. So this is for the Oh, My Stars quilt. And then there's all these pin dots also that go with it. So at some point in time, I'd love to make this. It's 94 by 94. Each one of the stars in the sashing is another print. And then I have a pretty good selection of some of her fabrics. over the years. Some are just pieces from leftover from quilts that I've made by her. This is from a jelly roll. But they're these super primary colors. It just fits perfect in a little kid's, well, especially for a grandma's little kid's room. All the letters and flowers. This is one I particularly like, and I'll probably put this on a, backing for a quilt at some point. Love this. Love it, love it, love it. So that is some of the things in the toy room that I wanted to show you. Hold, please. And then I'll show you what I was working on yesterday that I got completely pieced. This isn't going to be long because I really don't have very much here to show you. But I got this one completely pieced. I had the blocks already pieced, but it was a matter of putting it together. I haven't put borders on yet. I'm not sure. I want to be able to hang it, so I don't want it too big. I thought about putting borders on the sides and not the top and bottom. Or I'll probably just put borders on all. Anyway, I'll show you that at some point. But that is from an old book called Collections 1. This is by Red Wagon Quilts. And this one came out, I am sure, in the 90s. And I first saw, no, I didn't first see, I've seen, yeah, 1990. I'd seen that quilt finished. I mean, I'd seen it in the book, but I saw it finished by Basket Knot Tammy, the star one that I just finished. And I actually started piecing it last year. She's messaged me a couple times. Did you ever finish that? Not yet. And then I've also been working on this one, which was a country sampler kit, Betsy's Legacy. I did change out this floral right here. To me, that was just a teeny bit busy. But I have a piece that has that color blue with some stars on it, so I'm changing that out. I also got this one cut out. This is another one that's a country sampler kit. Sweet Summer Breeze. And these are nice size lap quilts. This one is 54 by 66. Betsy's Legacy is 54 by 54. Those are nice wall size quilts. So I'm working on those two. And then the only other quilting thing that I wanted to show you. Oh, I amazed myself. I hope you all got a chance to go watch Susan Stanley. And someone said they couldn't find her. Her name is her last name is S-T-A-N-D, like stand, and then L-E-Y, Stanley. Susan Stanley. I can't remember the name of her floss tube. It's like a Stitch in Time or something like that. Anyway, she has a new floss tube out, so quickly went over there to watch it. She's very interesting. I majored in textiles and clothing, and I did take some history of costume classes and history of textile classes. I've forgotten more than I ever learned at this point, because what was that, 50 years ago that I graduated? Oh my goodness, where does time go? Anyway, she had a quilt on the wall behind her, and I kept looking at it and thinking, I have that pattern somewhere. It's in a book. I think it's by Judy Rothmoth. So I kept looking at the quilt. Of course, as soon as the video was over, this is like 10 o'clock. I'm rifling through my stuff. And I found the book. Reproduction Quilts from the Civil War period, 1850 to 1865 by Judy Rothmoth. And this is the quilt I'm talking about that she had on her wall. Fabulous. Just fabulous. Oops. See if I can get it in the picture better. So what do I have right next to it? A complete kit to make that quilt. I've lost my marbles. I don't think I had many marbles to begin with, but whatever I had, I've lost. So I have, this is for the center medallion part. This is the background of the medallion. So these are all Civil War fabrics put out by Marcus Brothers Fabrics years ago. And Judy Rothmoth used to come to the Quilt Fest that was here in Jacksonville. And so a couple times I got a couple kits from her. Most of them, I think I have like 3 that are really small, hand appliqued, and then you hand quilt. Now, when her book, and then when Judy Rothmoth made those quilts, she did everything by hand. So no rotary cutting. It was all templates, hand pieced and hand quilted. Those are treasures. And maybe Susan Stanley did the same with hers. I don't know that I would do that, but anyway, I really want to make that quilt. So I think I'm going to think about it. I'm going to fixing to get ready. Anyway, I hope you have a good day. My husband will tie these 2 videos together with the pictures in the middle, but if you've stayed all the way through the end, bless you. If not, then you're not hearing me say this. So anyway, I do want to say I've watched a really, really, really good series on Acorn TV, which is a streaming, and most of it is all either British or not American. Anyway, the show that I watched, it's called Balthazar, and it's spelled Balthazar. He's a pathologist. It's all in French. So if you watch it, you have to read the captions. If you read the captions, you can't stitch. So I could have gotten more done in the last 2 weeks, but because I was hooked on this show, and I made myself go, there's three seasons, and each one is somewhere between 6 and 8 episodes. It is fabulous. If you're a crime junkie with, like a little bit of humor, with a handsome leading man, that's the show for you. If you don't mind reading captions. Absolutely fabulous. Fabulous. Balthazar on Acorn. It's exclusive on Acorn. So if you don't have the Acorn streaming, then you're not going to be able to watch it. But anyway, love that. So that's another thing I've been doing while I'm not stitching or quilting. So anyway, I hope you all have a good couple weeks. We'll be, let's see, 2 weeks would be, today's the 14th, would be the 28th. So that'll be the week before Easter. I'll either record on Saturday or Sunday, one or the other. My son's birthday is April 3rd, as well as one of my husband's grandsons. One of his grandsons? Yes, one of his grandsons is also on the same. My son will be 31, which is, he's still my baby, but he probably doesn't like me to say that. They're always your babies, right? All right, enough babbling from me. So see you later. Love you, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.